Well, the famous author Nassim Taleb says you need to invest in preparedness, not predictions. And I would argue, Warren Ingram, certified financial planner, that one of the biggest mistakes we all make is trying to forecast the future, predict what is likely to happen, and invest according to our guesswork, which is what it is.
I think that sounds about right, and I think an entire investment industry has been built up around that. And they try and change the name from prediction to forecast so that it sounds more scientific, and that just sounds to me like an even more dangerous guess. So to be blunt, I think predictions are for losers, and I don't mean that as a character judgment. I mean it as a money loser. If you're going to invest money according to predictions, the one prediction I'll make is you're probably going to lose money over time. So try and avoid the gobbledygook of predictions and try and make it a bit more scientific and a bit more strategic, and don't worry too much about what's happening in the world and what you think is going to happen next week, next month, or next year, because all of that's irrelevant over a 20 or 30-year period.
It's so important because the things we worry about this morning are fundamentally different from the things we're going to be worrying about tomorrow morning. In a year's time, we won't remember 99.99% of what we were worrying about today. And it's because we're so overcome and flooded by the noise of forecasts and predictions and this desperate need of humanity to somehow divine what the future is going to be. That's a fallacy.
Yeah, we are born craving certainty. So the reason that we love these forecasts as human beings is because it gives us a moment of certainty. Someone who expresses a view with deep authority, it could be absolute garbage, but the way they project that view, if it's done with authority, we feel good because someone's given us certainty for the next 2 minutes. When that prediction turns out to be horribly wrong, that same forecaster probably has a different view and projects it with equal authority, and we feel comfortable again. And so the process repeats. And so understanding yourself as a human being, that's what you crave. The one thing you need to know is that you can do things to build investment strategies around yourself, but you cannot build an investment strategy based on forecasts. Just look at the impact of elections. There is a major election that happens in a place like India, which is now becoming a very significant economy in the world. It goes in one direction, and markets implode. Now, if you were going to invest, you would have had to predict the outcome of the election. You would have had to predict what other investors were thinking was going to happen, and therefore how they would drive prices of investments. And you would have had to have made money, all of that on positions before that actually happened. The ability to do that, nearly impossible. So just don't waste your time. Rather say, I believe in India. I think it's a growing economy. I think they're doing good reforms. I'm going to allocate some money there for the next decade and then watch what happens. Basing it on the outcome of an election is fraught with danger and most likely turns you into a money loser.
So, an action. I'm curious to know what sort of action we can take, and other than switching off every social media channel, switching off every news report, and blocking the world from our brains, how we can make these objective long-term decisions without getting caught up in this need for certainty.
It's a case of looking at your strategy and just reviewing for a second. It's not a whole investment review, but just looking at your strategy and saying, is this built around me and my long-term goals, or is this built on what I think is going to happen next week? Is it built on a theme, whether it's AI or an election or interest rate projection, whatever? If it's built on that, you don't have a future-proof portfolio. You've got a problem. But if it's built around long-term goals on what you want to do over your lifetime, then you've got the correct portfolio. So the action is review, make sure it's a prediction-proof portfolio, and then call us back and thank us in a few decades.
You can thank Warren in a few decades. Warren Ingram, certified financial planner. I'm Bruce Whitfield. This is the Financial Freedom Pod.